Hello and welcome to this special edition of Credible Talks. Like always, we have a special guest with us today as well, Radhika Bajoria. She's a very well-known LinkedIn influencer and a content creator. She handles strategic communications currently for Touchstone Partners, a firm that deals in high-impact legal services. Radhika is also a senior editor at The Representative, which is a young media startup for millennials. And above all, Radhika has recently been recognized as one of the top LinkedIn voices for 2021, and that's one of the reasons why we're discussing influencers with her. We will have a conversation on the role of influencers in this digital storytelling era. Radhika, thank you so much, first of all, for joining us today. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about the journey that it has been from a content creator to a top influencer. How's it been?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me on the show. It's actually great to know that you have actually created a platform to talk about the journeys of influencers. It's not so much spoken about, especially through other channels. Influencers themselves do speak about the journeys on their platforms, but of course, when a third party comes in, you get a different perspective of how their journey has been. So, kudos to you and your team for organizing this. Talking about my story, I started writing 5 years back while I was in my college, and the game was never to be on LinkedIn. In fact, I used to always wonder why are people on LinkedIn. When my friends used to scroll on LinkedIn, I used to scroll on Instagram through memes, and just I'm not. I mean, I just didn't understand why do people even use LinkedIn or spend time on LinkedIn, until one of my friends told me that you can also start writing on LinkedIn. It has a really good audience. You'll be connected with investors, VCs, and other CEO, CXO level people if you write well and add value to that community. So I thought, okay, if they are saying something, if so many people are doing something, there must be something in it which I need to try. And I always have this mindset of exploring new things, having a curious mind to try something or the other, take risks, and then see if it works out or not. So I never plan or expect anything in a certain way. If it happens, it happens. It's that for me, I just flow like a river. I don't try to move opposite the river and create friction unnecessarily. So that's how I started writing. And I remember back in 2018, the purpose actually for me coming on LinkedIn was to get sponsorship for my event in the entrepreneurship cell of the college. So that was the reason why we were all mandated to create our LinkedIn profiles. I still remember that my first profile picture on LinkedIn was very fancy because I didn't know what the platform stood for and how our personality should be displayed out there. But slowly and steadily, I learned through my way, and having the right kind of ecosystem around you is very important. Thankfully, in my second year of college, I had the people who were very supportive enough for me to start writing, and they had seen my writing skills while I was doing freelancing for some projects. So they told me that why don't you put out your thoughts in the public as well, so that they should also notice you and see how you should work it out. But the main obstacle comes when you start writing. You don't know what to write on, and that's where most of the people stop and can't start. I think that was very difficult for me to figure out. But like I said, I don't plan anything too much. I just wrote a philosophical content that came into my mind on one fine day while I was sitting in the library in the evening while everyone was studying CA or CFA. I was just thinking, looking outside the window and just thinking to myself as to what should be written. I wrote a very philosophical post which just got about 3 likes. And of course, as any human would be disheartened, even I was thinking that, oh my God, I just got 3 likes. Why is that so? But I think I came over it, and it was a very nice learning curve for me, because from 3 likes to 30 to 300 to 3000, it's been a very joyful ride, because till date it has made me understand that traction really doesn't matter. If you are satisfied with your own content, if you feel valuable after reading a piece of content, I think that's enough. That is success for you in itself. And when I got this LinkedIn award, I asked the managing director at LinkedIn India that, what made you put me in the list, because I was the youngest out there in the brand new list. He just said that it's your consistency with which you write and the quality that you provide with your content. The traction really doesn't matter. Although I got good number of eyeballs to whatever I wrote, but it didn't really concern me after a point in time, because my mentors in my college and outside college also told me that, don't do anything for numbers, because you'll get bored eventually. Numbers really are attractive when you're young, like age is attractive when you're young. When you grow old, you really don't care about your age. It's just a number. You live through the experiences, through the moments. And that's how I also lived through my content on LinkedIn. And I really love reading on newspapers, the current affairs, business stories. And I think that's what got me very interested into writing more and more of it. So it took time for me to understand that this is my niche and this is what I love, reading. But eventually it happened because I tried doing. Most of the people just want results like immediately. They want to see action happening in 2 or 3 days, and when they don't see it happening, they just give up on it. And that's why people go wrong, as per what I've seen. But I think if people be consistent, if they are patient with themselves, I think they can also see results in some time or the other. Everyone has their own time of joy, own time of failures. You just have to live through it, because unless you experience pain, you won't understand the value of pleasure. So that's how a balance is made in between the two. I think that's how I had started, and that's how I have been doing so far. But right now, since I'm working in a law firm, I'm getting to know more about the financial world, because it's a corporate law firm that deals in private equity, structured finance, equity, debt related deals. And being a marketing student, I didn't know much of it. But since I was reading newspaper on almost a daily basis, I was well versed with the industry whereabouts. And I knew that, this is what they're speaking about. So right now, my focus is on to cover stories on corporate governance, private equity related deals, how people are raising funds from outside India to bring in money into the India to put in the startup ecosystem to grow the India's startup ecosystem. So I think that's where my focus is right now. And yeah, it's been a learning curve so far, and it is a great learning curve for my content writing journey ahead also, I would say.
Wonderful. That's excellent. And that actually also takes me to the next question that I'm going to ask you about. Uh, you know, in this day and age when everything seems to be a large digital pool, the world is come close like never before with all the tools that we have available on us. Do you? How important do you think the influencers like yourself are in this day and age?
I think influencer is just a mindset, I would say, because these days brands are more than happy to collaborate with people with just 10,000 followers rather than collaborating with a person who has millions of followers, because at the end of the day, it's about the value add that you have. And like I said, the follower rate is just a number. It depends on how loyal is your follower base to you and the content that you're providing. So I think I don't consider myself as a really big celebrity, but of course, influencer means nothing but you have the ability to influence the mindset of the people in some way or the other. So I think in that sense, my post, whatever I write, it encourages certain people to write more on those topics. And since I have seen growth coming in on my posts, I was invited to take master classes for different people as to how to start on LinkedIn, what to write, what not to write. So I have been privileged. I feel that I have been given an opportunity to teach students, to teach other people as to how to grow on LinkedIn, how should they start writing fearlessly, and how should they really grow on the platform. So I think in that sense, I have made people write on LinkedIn. I have made them identify their niche areas, because I never encourage someone to write on the topics that I write, because what I like is not something what others would also like writing on. So my purpose is to make people identify their own strengths and build upon their strengths. So that's what
Hmm.
I've been doing so far through my platform, through my workshops and the speaker sessions that I take. And I think in that way, I have helped many people venture into LinkedIn or into whatever they would want, because you could hear how philosophical I am. So I speak more on those lines, and I think I motivate people in some way or the other by that sense. So I think that's what I have been doing, and that's how it has helped me change people's mindset. I've made them more fearless, and I've told them that no matter what, just start writing. Even if you don't get any like, just feel happy with yourself that at least you've written, at least you've taken the courage, which many don't have, to write on the platform. And even if one person is liking on your post, you feel more than happy, because it's a very distracted world. If one person is giving attention to your post, if they're giving the time and liking that post, that means that you have achieved success. So just be happy in small little things, be happy with small wins, and that's how ultimately you will reach the peak of your success, I would say. So yeah, that's how I have helped people, and that's how the platform has made me help others.
Excellent. So, being an influencer yourself, where do you see, you know, influencer marketing space, particularly in India, and how do you think it can be different from the traditional marketing or advertising, methods that used to be used? What could be different that can be done in this?
Yeah, I think the industry in itself is mushrooming at the speed of light, or rather, I would say more than that, because you can see every influencer, doing brand collaborations, talking to different other people, and doing other influencer collaborations and growing their platform. It
Hmm.
all started with, I would say, YouTube as a center point, where influencers started to post their videos, their journeys, and slowly it got reduced down to Instagram. And there itself, it got reduced to 30-second reels videos. And right now people are just enjoying those trends that come in, and people are making use of it in different niches. It's very interesting to see how people are picking up dance related trends for creating financial related content. So I think the imagination and the power of creativity is really growing a lot in this space, and there's a lot to learn. You will only learn when you see it, but you will learn more when you do it yourself and have the experience on your own. So I would say that the investor confidence also in this space is growing a lot, because every other person is ready to invest in an influencer, thinking that whatever they speak, their word will have a certain value and people will really respect whatever they say. And that's the reason why brands, like international brands or big brands, are really collaborating with these people and are showering money upon them. People don't earn so much in their monthly salary as much as they earn in their brand collaborations. And there are many influencers that have spoken about it publicly, that if they're working at, suppose, PwC, their monthly salary will be much lesser than what they earn in, suppose, 10 days of collaborations. But sometimes this space gets so attractive and crowded that people lose out on what they stand for. They tend to get carried away in what the sensation is all about. They tend to take up all the collaborations that they are getting, and somewhere down the line they tend to tarnish their own brand value, and
Hmm.
ultimately it's the race down to the bottom. So
Hmm.
you need to be very mindful about who you are collaborating with. It's not that if you're getting money, if you're getting fame, you will collaborate with everyone that comes along your way. But I feel
Hmm.
influencers these days are very smart, because they're surrounded by smart people. They know what
Hmm.
to do and what not to do. But I'm talking about the early stage influencers, the micro influencers who just start their journey. Everyone has that excitement of
Hmm.
doing things, and when they start getting the collaborations, they're like, oh my god, I have reached the peak, I am a star. And they just don't have that humility left inside them. So I think that's something lacking, which people can easily work out on, because it's something that is self built, and it can also be self destroyed. So that's there. But talking about the industry growth, I think the market is already more than a billion size, and it will grow into something very big. People don't look at countries when it comes to social media. People look at the way you have built your presence across the world. So I think in that sense, it's just a very brimming space, and I see a lot of growth coming in. But I feel that people are just restricted to Instagram or YouTube. Many of them haven't explored LinkedIn as much. But I see LinkedIn growth coming in a lot, with more and more people being aware of the value that the platform gives, and the value that the influencer brings on the platform, on LinkedIn especially. So yeah, I think it's a nice journey that everyone should travel. And it's never too late. If you haven't been on any social media platform, it's still fine, you can start now. and maybe 10 years later or 5 years later, you don't know wherever you will be. And that's the beauty of social media. You never know when your content will get viral. Could be in one day, could be in 1 year, or could be never. So it's just a risk that you take.
You just have to be at it, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned a very important point, which I also wanted to ask you about. Yes, of course, there is a lot that we can do. There's a lot in terms of tools that are available to us. The world has become small, but at the same time, there are serious concerns about credibility, and
Yeah.
they're increasing. And even in this space, and I think as a media influencer, you would agree that there are a lot of instances where we do also face these questions from people about credibility. What do you think can be done to ensure that the space is kept as credible as possible?
So I think the platform can't do anything. Of course, it's a win-win for them because they are getting good revenues if the person is there on their platform. But I think it is something that is again self-built. It's something that needs to be self-controlled. You can't tell someone to do something. Humans just do the opposite of what's being told to them. So ideally, it's not good to prescribe something to them. They wouldn't ever subscribe to that. But the ideal way would be that it should start from yourself. If you yourself are an influencer, people always look up to you, right? And if you start doing collaborations that are only worthy of doing, or talking about, I think then others will also follow. Because if you have that influencer tag, that means people do follow you. And it all starts with yourself. Like it's a saying, charity begins at home. And I feel that if you don't do it yourself, don't expect it from others. So I feel that it all starts from ourselves. Our own mindset needs to be changed, that we need to understand what's credible, what's not. Of course, people unintentionally do tend to take some actions that are mistakenly committed. But I feel that if you are more mindful, more aware of what's going on, you can't commit to such high level of mistakes. So I just feel people need to be more aware. They need to be more well read, generally smart, and I feel that it'll be fine.
Hmm. A lot of people who would watch this, a lot of youngsters would want your advices, your tips on how to go about their careers in communications or content writing, or even influencer, how to become a good influencer. I know you said a few things, but specifically for aspiring communications professionals, what would be your advice?
Yeah, so this question is like asking, how to increase your height as my height. It's something that is a very natural process. You can't really amend it through some different outside forces. You can't really tell them how to become an influencer, because if you tell them that and if they follow it and if they don't become, the blame will all come on the person who said, and they will also blame themselves that what have I done, why am I not becoming an influencer, I've followed all the steps. So it's a very natural progression. It should take place naturally. You shouldn't ever meddle too much with it. Let it come the way it comes. But the only important point is to start. So I would suggest that whosoever it is, just start writing on whatever you love. Don't start writing on something that the other person is doing or other person is getting traction for. Because if you do that, you won't be able to sustain it for a longer period of time. Remember that you can only do something consistently if you love doing it, because otherwise it just becomes a short term play and it's just for the time being, and you will never feel happy with yourself because you're never doing something that fulfills your heart. So I would say just identify your niche, understand that niche fully. Don't just write for the heck of it. Don't really write on the surface. Go in depth. It's fine if people don't understand what you're saying. You will learn how to write it in a way that people understand. At the end of the day, it's a public platform. You need to learn how to put it in a way that everyone understands, be it a 5-year-old kid or a 50-year-old man. And also, of course, depends on the topic that you're catering to, your audience for the particular topic. So I think again, it's all about awareness. It all starts from awareness. Buddha says, be your own light. There's a saying in Buddha, apo dipo bhavo, which says that be your own light. You will find answers within yourself. So I think that's there. And once you identify what you love doing, like for example, you love talking to people, you started your journey in journalism anchoring, and you are still at there even after so many years. Why are you still here? Because you love doing it, right? And I can see the passion in your eyes. Your eyes are gleaming when you speak to different people, and that can only happen when you really love doing something. It can't really happen because somebody else has told you to do it. So I wouldn't give much advice to what people should be doing, but I would just suggest them to find what they love doing and start doing. Never expect anything from yourself to an extent that you will be disappointed. Of course, set goals, set targets, but set it in awareness such that if it's not met, you know the problem and you can solve it. And if it's met, you will of course achieve success, and at the same time also stay grounded, because what happens is most of the people get arrogant when they start seeing success, and arrogance at the end of the day kills them. And that's how CEOs of Uber and other companies were removed, even though they were founders of their own company. So I think these small little values of life are very important to get started anywhere. And the technicals, of course, anyone can teach you, so I wouldn't comment much on it, but these are the values that have helped me and would might help others also. So that's what I would want to say on this.
Wonderful. Radhika, again, you started on this note, but I'm going to touch it again. Influencer space has immense potential, and we know it, but it's still not recognized as much as the traditional methods of outreach. Does it, does it concern you? Do you think about it at times?
Yeah, it does, because I'll tell you why this happens. The reason is, I told you, like, when a person becomes an influencer, the mindset changes. They just think of themselves as a celebrity. A celebrity is a celebrity, and an influencer is an influencer. You can't really compare the both. Of course, if a celebrity is asking for a crore of rupees for a post, a brand would pay to them because they can see their presence in the market. But if an influencer is asking a higher rate of amount, a brand can't really trust them with that amount because they haven't seen them perform as much in the market. They have only seen them perform on their own channel. So it's difficult for brands to trust someone, and that trust can only be built when there's awareness and when there's understanding between the two parties as to what one is doing. So I
Right.
feel that the exorbitant amounts that influencers are quoting for brand collaborations is something that is stopping brands from going ahead with them. And that's the reason why I would say the collaboration space is still stagnant. But if more in I don't see the space being stagnant for a longer period of time, because there are more intelligent people coming on the platform. They're talking on diverse range of topics, and they know what's more important for them and what's not. So I think with this, the brands also understand that the influencer is very intellectual. They can understand what we want, and they're not just doing for the money, as most influencers do. So I think with this understanding, the space is set to grow. I don't think so that it will be restricted or constrained anymore. And the number, if you see, has risen immensely in the lockdown. People didn't have anything but social media, so everyone wanted to become a social media star, and not denying the fact that some of them have actually become. So I think the space is brimming with a lot of energy, youthfulness, and many elderly people are also coming on the platform to make the most out of it. I think brands just need to be more careful as to who they are collaborating with, and not just reach out to people who have the tag of influencers. Even brands should do their own study as to, if I have this product, my product should be aligned with what the person is talking about on social media. They shouldn't just go to them just because they have a lot of number of followers. And because the brands do this, they tend to see that the results that they're getting out of the money that they're paying, the ROI on that is not very proportional to what they expect it to be. And I think because of this misalignment, they are losing out on the value chain, and they're losing out on the thing that they expected would happen to them. So I think this expectation mismatch is killing the vibe. But I feel that with more and more people being knowledgeable to the fact that it's a very valuable space, you need to value from both the ends, even from a brand side, even from an influencer side. And I think if you align with that, the space is open for everyone, and it will be growing at a really good pace.
Let's hope so. In fact, at the Incredibles, like I explained to you earlier, we're trying to do that only. We're trying to put together an initiative to recognize this space. And we're doing it in a sense for the first time in India, and also getting a global jury to do that. I would
Right.
love to hear your thoughts on this initiative.
Yeah, like I told you earlier, I was very excited about it because I wouldn't deny, I reached out to many people who conduct such events, and I tell them that, why don't you identify influencers who are actually, giving value in the space with their content, and not just because they have a lot of followers or a lot of money because of collaborations. And they have said that, yeah, they will actually do something of that sort, but it never really happened. But I'm very happy to see that your platform has taken this initiative, and now you will recognize some of the people who are actually giving value in their own niches. And with this, I think people who were waiting to see their own icons in different industries will also now see that, okay, this is the person that I need to follow because he or she talks about the element that I always had in my mind. Because most of the times influencers only seen in makeup, dancing, singing, or fashion. People have not seen many influencers in the financial space, in the content related space of, say, suppose science or art. So I think if your platform brings about such influencers, if they talk about it, people will know more and more of them, and they will of course eventually tend to follow them. So it's a great, brilliant initiative because you're just spreading awareness about more and more valuable people who are not so recognized before. So kudos to you on that. I'm quite looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to a lot of support from you, and I just hope that you will also send your entries and also tell others to do that, because the more we have, the better the entire initiative will come on. Right. So, but
Right.
thank you so much, Radhika, for taking our time and speaking to us. Look forward to seeing you again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.